Welcome to Why Blank Lost for the first person voted out of Survivor 43. I'm David Bloomberg, and I am not only joined by my co-host Jessica Lewis, but the two of us have a very colorful special guest, Tiffany Seely from Survivor 41.
Yay!
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Oh my gosh, we're so excited you're here.
Yes. Now, she is not dressed colorful like Morriah. She just has the colorful coming out of her.
But you are.
Also, yes, I am. Yes.
I tried. And listen, I realized I have a very muted closet. I was like, I have a few bright things, but I was like, well, we'll go with some stripes and a little pink. This is my homage to punching you with color.
Yes.
I should have punched you with color. I didn't.
I'm sure you have so many things too. I'm sure you do.
So many.
Yes.
I'm actually disappointed in myself right now.
Well, Bloomberg mentioned it in our little text conversation. And I was like, I have to go change. I need to do something.
Yeah.
I must have missed that one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you could have missed that one with the million other ones in there.
I'll tell you how.
No. I have to get involved here before you say anything, because I was trying to eat dinner before this podcast, and it was like my phone was ringing because it wouldn't stop buzzing because Tiffany was texting.
We've discussed before that Tiffany is a spam texter.
She is a spam texter.
She is.
And it's possible that I was imitating her, so that may have helped as well. But I do want to...
It is my toxic trait.
I do want to mention that people may have heard us talking about having Tiffany and Voce on this podcast, and you may notice he's not there. But once again, Tiffany stabbed him in the back and voted him out, so he won't be appearing.
Damn it, Tiffany!
That was my fault.
Yeah.
It's my fault his flight was delayed.
Yes, yes.
Your fault.
Always.
Voce. He can't get away from Tiffany.
I know.
She keeps affecting him.
Winner.
But we will get him onto a podcast later this season. And even though we lost Voce, we consider it a moral victory because he really tried to get here. So that's pretty much the same thing.
You know what? I love how Voce does like really bad things, like just last minute not being here, and you still give him credit. It feels a lot like when Jeff was upset with me but was happy with Heather, like when she didn't do the challenge and he was like, yay, and I was like, ooh, you're doing the same thing to me, and I'm feeling a little
I feel like you may have missed the reference there.
I got the reference, but I do appreciate
I didn't miss it.
Where she's coming from too.
I didn't miss it.
Okay.
I'm just saying, I still feel
But I think it's interesting that you went there, Tiffany, because it sounds like you were talking about the balance beam challenge that you always get mad at Voce for bringing up.
Yes, and I wasn't even going to bring that up.
Of course you were. Of course you were. Of course you were.
No,
okay? I like to just get it out right away. Like when people say, oh my God, you were my favorite on Survivor, I always say, like, which part? Where I was having my way with the balance beam? Is that the part where you thought I was fantastic? Like, which part exactly? So now that we got it out of the way, we can move forward.
Okay.
I love it.
Excellent.
All right. Yes. And in case people were wondering, when we move forward, what we do, each week we compare the game of the person voted out to the rules for winning that I originally wrote way back after season 1 and have been updating ever since. We'll look at all the non-spoiler information available to us from what we saw on TV, interviews, social media, secret scenes. There were actually several for this first episode. It's been, you didn't miss much. I said there were several. I didn't say there were several that were applicable.
Okay.
It's been a busy couple weeks here, so I'm still working to get the new version of the rules up on the website, but you can see the previous version at our dedicated page, robhasawebsite.com/yxlostfeed. And of course, we discussed the changes I made in part 2 of our preseason podcasts.
Lots of changes.
Yes. Not too many, I'd say, but some that actually, at least one that's going to be mentioned today. But before we get to the rules, we always have things to talk about. And I'm sure there will be even more than usual with our special guest here. It's funny because Stephen Fishback tweeted during the beginning of Survivor. say what you will about Survivor, but no other show on television has the audacity to spend 10 minutes of its premiere talking about how great it is.
It really did, too.
But that may be true, but I try to start off that podcast, every podcast that way, spending 10 minutes talking about how great I am.
Just you. I
well,
see.
I try to. You usually, horn in on it, but
I still don't get any credit. What?
Jess, I'm here to take your bad evening away because it's going to be me soon. So,
oh my gosh, right?
Yep.
It's only when my predictions come true, or things like that.
Yeah, we need to spend a little bit of time on that because we are clearly terrible. I think the entire episode, if anyone listened to our predictions, they were like, what? They're so
Baka
wrong.
Tribe is going to be strong. It's going to be the best.
And how about like when we were Cody and Sammy, who magically became like the brainiacs and this is incredible. Nothing we expected.
Well,
nothing
it's funny because I was going to bring that up because let me
Sammy killed it.
Let me give a quick programming note and then I'll get to that because just for people who are jumping back and forth between Survivor and Big Brother like I am, Ovi Kabir and I released the Why Brittany Lost podcast Thursday night, shortly after she was evicted. And then we will be doing our post-finale Why Blank One podcast either Monday or Tuesday, depending on when interviews and the like are done and depending on our schedules. Then, Jessica, of course, you and I will be back again Saturday to discuss who goes next on Survivor. And we don't even know how many people it'll be because it's a 90-minute episode, and it wouldn't surprise me if they kind of catch up by having 2 tribal councils. But I did, yes. I'm wondering who changed your opinion most in this episode, and you already came up with Sammy and Cody.
Sammy, oh my God, Sammy was just, I was blown away. I was absolutely blown away because it wasn't even the Sammy I expected. Like I thought Sammy was going to be a character and try too hard. And he purposefully was not trying too hard. He was like, I don't want people to know how smart I am. And I don't want people to know how good I am at anything. And he was trying really hard to like maintain some composure and be under the radar. But then he couldn't help it because he had to step up and do these things because his tribe was incapable of doing it. And he did it all so incredibly well. I was completely shocked and surprised.
Yeah, I guess we didn't see it, but one thing Morriah said in some of her interviews was that he had a personality similar to hers in terms of exuberance around camp and stuff. So he wasn't quite as under the radar, I guess, in that term.
Right.
But yeah, other than, his clip about throwing pets into the fire, he was definitely better than I had expected.
I would agree with that. And I would also think that he's definitely not up for the CEO award because once he said he was going to throw pets in an incinerator, it is all over for him. So Sammy lost that. I can assure you. Number one.
Sorry, Sia.
Right. Sorry.
Sia. Yeah.
Sia. But what I will say about Sammy is I was impressed as a 19-year-old, because he is 19, how self-aware he was.
It was incredible.
Even if he didn't act it on camp and things that we didn't see,
right?
What we did see is still stuff he did. And he was seemingly quite self-aware, even enough to say I'm 22, because 19 is just not, and he's right. 19 is like, wow, you're a baby. 22 is kind of like, oh, like you're in your 20s. Like it sort of shifts somewhere there.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that was a pretty good move on his part. And I was pretty impressed with him as well, I have to say.
Yeah. And he was the one, he didn't fully solve the Savvy puzzle, but he gave the idea, which allowed them to solve it, which of course involved what number?
11.
Yeah.
Oh, and 11.
Again, another sign that I was on the wrong season.
It might just be you were meant to be on this season.
Maybe.
Well, there are several people from 41 who originally from 41 who are on this season.
Yes.
I don't remember who all of them are. We talked about it in our previews.
Yeah.
But yeah, the other person you mentioned, Jessica, was Cody.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not fully sold on Cody yet. And I think as we saw in the preview, he may revert to form. But yeah, I never would have predicted that he of all people would figure out to use the hollow part of the bamboo to get the flint.
Yeah.
Especially when Jeff said none of their paid challenge crew thought of that.
Right. Fascinating.
That was impressive. It was so obvious yet so far from my mind until he said it, and then it was like, oh, duh, like that's the best way to do it. And I know that nobody figured it out, and he outsmarted everybody. Yeah, he's living.
Yes, he's living.
He's living.
That's right. You have a butt. You have a butt tattoo, Tiffany.
Do I have a butt tattoo?
Yes.
Bloomberg, this is not the place to ask me that.
Well, where else would I ask you?
Oh. Yes, my tattoo. My tattoo on my Asenmacher says large. So if him and I were to stand next to each other, it would just be living large.
Living large.
You're welcome, everybody. That is the
hashtag living large.
I'll be this evening.
Yes.
Love it.
So other than that, I did want to ask Tiffany, we kind of jumped ahead here. So what's new with you? Before we get any further into this, what's new that the people need to know?
Oh, goodness. I'm so full of exciting things that I don't know. Nothing.
I wasn't sure where you were saying.
Zero is new.
So full
of nothing. I'm just teaching, living my best life. Doing some fun. I'm going to say living. Living is going to be the new 11.
Yeah.
Living is the new 11. Let's make a t-shirt. I am currently working and getting ready to do some charity stuff with Mike Turner in Hoboken. So I'll be doing the run with him for Give the Kids the World. I'll be going there in December.
Nice.
And it's my birthday weekend too.
Very exciting.
Thank you. I'll only be 49 because I'm still such a baby. And, just that's it. Working and going to every volleyball game my son ever played in. And getting ready to be an empty nester. So,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go on the reality TV tour because I will have nothing to do with my life. So,
It's scary when they get older, right?
Oh, it's like, it's scary when they're young. It's scary when they're teens. But when they get older, my son got a car and I have not seen him since.
Oh.
It's just like all of a sudden you're just not needed anymore. He's just out and about and doing his thing. And, I'm so glad I'm here for it. And they're great kids, but it is definitely an adjustment. So keeping myself busy.
Oh, yeah.
It's an adjustment.
Yes. Just wait till they move half a country away.
No, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
Nope.
No,
we're not. It gives you anxiety, doesn't it? I know.
It does. Yeah. My daughter is 2.5 hours away and it makes me so sad.
Yeah.
It makes me so sad.
Well, it's real. It's real. People talk about it, but I never thought I'd be one, but I'm okay. It's just, I can't think of them like when they were little. It makes me sick. Like I'm like, but anyway.
So this has been Coffee Talk.
This is Coffee Talk with Manischewitz and Tiffany. Nice to see you tonight. I just wanted to wish all my nice Jewish people a lovely Shana Tova for Rosh Hashanah.
Shana Tova.
This is what I drink on Friday nights. May it be with health.
Yes.
Okay.
Coffee. All right. Now, speaking of young people,
we just covered so many things.
I know.
One little segment.
I know.
So
great. The other person that I wanted to say has surprised me so far is Dwight.
You were not a fan of Dwight.
No,
there was a lot of facial expressions happening.
Yes, there were. I was worried he would just come off as too young, too discombobulated. I think he's appeared pretty mature. His Bryce imitation is on point with his buff.
Very good.
That said, I wouldn't have risked my vote if I were him. But it does leave him in a bad position for later. But yeah, so far we haven't seen what I was the most worried about.
Yeah. I will say, though, since you brought up the risking the vote component, I much prefer this method as opposed to the ship wheel thing where you didn't know what the other person did. I like this so much more because now with the new era of Survivor, it seems like nothing's a secret anymore, right?
Right.
And so now it's
especially when you scream about it. But,
well, that too. I mean, that's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
When you get back and start yelling about it. But the fact that you have to make this choice in front of everyone and everyone is going to know what choices were made, and it's going to make it that much easier to determine who you potentially have to be concerned with moving forward, that they might have something because they actually did risk a vote or didn't, and you'll actually know. It's no more guessing.
But I would say that Gabler, when he was howling, I'm pretty sure all the tribes are aware that he has gotten the advantage because he let them know, nice and clear. I agree with you, Jess. And I think kind of with the 3-tribe format that we're in, with those small little tribes, coming back and trying to hide is just, it's almost too obvious. If you come back with 2 big tribes, you can kind of get away with a little bit. But when you're doing that, it's really like you're going somewhere. It's almost like stupid.
Yeah.
We know you're coming back with something or nothing, or you're lying to us. So
right.
It sort of alleviates that stupidity, in my opinion, which makes it a little bit more fun because you feel like now it's out there, and what are they going to do with it now? Like, how is that going to play out?
Right. Yeah.
So I like that, and definitely better than the what is this one doing over there, spinning the wheel? You know, who knows? Less time has to be spent on what's going on. It kind of condensed that time they needed to show, production, which I really liked.
Yeah, and also they seem to have taken, at least according to what I think Cody said, the trip that Evie went on, for example, lasted like all damn day. And, that was one reason you voted out Voce, was because she wasn't there. Evie wasn't there to calm you down.
There it is again.
They seem to have shortened that to like an hour and a half, 2 hours now. They just have to make a trek across water instead of up a hill. And so I hope they did it because they learned about how terrible it was to keep someone apart from the tribe for as long as they did.
Yeah.
That and to be honest, it seemed just as difficult in some ways because that water is treacherous. Like those slippery rocks, you know what that's like. It is. You're walking even when we would walk at night to tribal, and we'd have to get off that plank. Do you remember?
That was the worst.
That was the worst.
That was the worst.
You'd step down, and those mossy rocks, you could kill yourself. So I'm pretty sure that was pretty difficult to do and annoying. And then to come back and not just be away from them for that long, but we literally maybe had 20 minutes before it was time to go back for tribal, where it was pretty much middle of the day when they got back and had plenty of time. So and like, it's not just the being away, but it's the coming back and having to do the damage control and figure out what went on when I was gone and having enough time to do that. So,
and also they didn't go the day of tribal.
Right. And that's the other thing. They didn't go the day of tribal for that particular one, right? For that group. But, I just feel like, and I'm going to say, because I keep saying it, I feel like, 41 was like the skinny pig season. And listen, there always has to be one, right? There has to be a new era of something, and it's going to always be someone. It just happened to be our season.
Yes.
And having lived it, and having been so frustrated while there, not just because it's a whole new game that was bad enough that I didn't really know the game before, but now it's a whole new game, right? So it's like, and self-admitted, because I was a casual watcher. I love Survivor, but I wasn't a student of the show like everybody else was. So it was a blessing in some ways for me because I was in the same boat now as everybody else. Like I didn't really feel like they had anything on me. But at the same time, I did know enough to know that, hey, this is a bunch of BS. What the heck? We just won and now we lost. We just lost and now we won. Like, that is just, it's this, what is this godforsaken freaking hourglass? Like, so to be fair, it's nice to finally see it coming full circle and them ironing it out, to know that probably within 5 or 6 seasons, even 7, you're going to really start to get the feel and the momentum of what the old school Survivor felt like when you would be watching.
Well, then Jeff Probst will change it again, but we'll
Maybe.
deal with that. We'll deal with
it, but still, you know what I'm saying.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I did want to mention, we were talking about Gabler, and just in general, if anything, he has come off worse than I expected.
Yeah.
Which, if you heard the preview, I would, we knew he wouldn't be very strategic, but revealing that he won the idol and then volunteering to be the target, he was just all over the place. He said he wanted to play like Rupert. Even Rupert wouldn't have done these things. Rupert would have worn this shirt, but he wouldn't have done these things.
And I really do get the sense that he's struggling so much with the age factor.
He definitely
is. He doesn't know then how to best interact with the people that he's around. And I feel like he would have been better off almost trying to adopt that dad mentality, as opposed to, I want to be able to jive with these people and I want to get along with them. And instead of just like stepping up going, this is who I am, and owning it, I feel like he ended up getting so caught up in that with, I don't know how to act around them. And then it made him flustered, and I think it affected his ability to play the game the way that we thought he was going to, where we thought he was going to be a little bit more like down to earth, but also like not as, we didn't think he'd be super strategic or anything, but I think he missed an opportunity to really form good relationships with people because he got too caught up in the age difference.
Yeah, I noticed that. Like, listen, he's only 2 years older than me.
Yeah.
And I feel like he's many years older than me in some ways, because when you focus yourself so much and identify with something so strong, you actually, it's like self-fulfilling prophecy. He already believes he's, so much older. But truth be told, age is a number in a lot of ways. And he's making it an issue.
Right.
Nobody else is really making it an issue.
Right.
And he's sort of like pigeonholed himself instead of just being who he is. He's definitely quirkier than I thought he was going to be, a little bit. But it's almost like he's awkward right now. And maybe he's going to change a little, and we'll see it change, and we'll all be like, oh, that he's more of like what I thought he would be now,
Right.
But I think he just got so super excited that he had some sort of advantage because he was probably feeling so behind the 8 ball being 51.
Yes. That was like his savior. He was like, oh, good. Now I'll be okay. Even though they were all kind of separated me out.
Except then when he had the opportunity to be okay, he was like, I'm not going to use it. I'll go for the shot in the dark.
Well, listen, I know what he was doing. He was trying to be like, it's like going to fire. Like, you should go to fire yourself and don't put the other people in if it comes down to that, right? And you want to prove yourself. It was almost like he was saying, listen, I know I deserve to be blah, 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 but you know what? I'm going to do it this way. This way I prove myself so that they're not owing him anything, or he doesn't owe them anything, so to speak.
Yeah, but it's a Survivor.
Yeah, but it's Survivor. Right. And you know what? That's part of the problem. Like, you go out there and your thoughts just get really messed up. Like,
oh, for sure.
And even the way I was thinking is so not who I am. Like,
well, your thoughts we know were messed up because you voted out Voce.
You know what?
So
they do this on Big Brother. This is going to be my new thing on podcast. For those of you who are not tuning into the visual, I am now wearing very dark sunglasses because I'm now pretending I'm not here. I'm not here. We all know that I voted out Voce, and we all know that proved to be amazing because I am an actual queen. So they tell me at these functions. Now, you all thought the queen has passed, but just let you all know, I'm actually still here. Everything is good.
The queen is dead. Right. Long live the queen.
Long live the queen. And I will be sitting with these on for the rest of this podcast now.
Okay.
Oh, can you see with those though?
Not a freaking thing. But you know what's so amazing? Now I don't have to look at Bloomberg when he's cutting me down at the knees. Touche.
There it comes.
I didn't cut you down at the knees. I talked about how you cut Voce down.
Listen. I didn't cut him down. I took him freaking out.
Yeah, exactly.
Ooh.
That's right. And I would do it again.
Oh my, those sound fighting words.
That's right.
Those sunglasses, I tell you.
He threw my name out, so that's it. Bottom line, you don't throw Tiffany's name out. unless you are 100% sure you're getting her out, like they did. Stupid Survivor players. So stupid. Never have you met a bunch of more dumb Survivor players.
That's right.
Than when they voted Tiffany out.
Yes, absolutely.
See?
Yeah.
See?
Now, going back to Gabler, I do want to talk about his idol. Nice.
Now I can see.
Yeah. And because we need to discuss the horrible wording of the parchment he got. It says, "Congratulations, you risked and won. This immunity idol will keep you safe for your next 2 tribal councils.
Yeah.
After that, it loses all power." Now, by saying it will keep you safe for the next 2 tribal councils, it makes it sound like he's literally automatically safe for his first and second tribal council. Now, that obviously is not how a normal immunity idol works, but if I received that or I saw that, I'd be questioning because, hey, maybe it's a new twist. This is the new era.
Do I have to actually play this, or is it just automatic?
It keeps me safe for 2 tribals. I suppose there might have been a second fine print parchment that explains it, but we didn't see it, and the bag and the parchment were pretty darn small. Just again, we see that the people running Survivor don't pay attention to the wording. This was, what is she taking a picture of? They
I'm sorry, I just couldn't help myself.
We're paying homage to Big Brother.
You know that this comes out on video and you can get a screen capture of it later. But
that's what it's like playing Survivor.
Yeah.
We take videos and pictures of ourselves videoing ourselves.
Yeah.
Yes. I had to. There's this whole look happening. I do have to remember it.
Anyone who's just listening, you're just missing out.
You definitely are.
Maybe Jessica will send her pictures.
I'll have to take another one.
Yeah. It's just they're not paying attention. We had this problem with with Mike's immunity idol. Wasn't it Mike's idol or Mike's advantage? Mike's beware advantage. Where the wording was debatable. Does he have to say it or does he not have to say it?
Right.
And this is even worse.
And I do think that this is a significant issue because the advantages have changed and they mean so much more now than they did before. I think back in regular old Survivor that we all knew to grow and love, when you found an idol, everybody knew how the idol worked because it was always the same type of rules.
But it still had instructions with it.
It had instructions, but it was very clear. Like, you play this at tribal council, and Jeff makes it very, like, if anyone has an idol, now's when you play it. They were very structured, and everyone kind of knew what to expect with certain components. And now, because you want to change the mechanism by which the game is played by adding extra advantages, you need to be really clear with what the instructions are, because you can find yourself in a situation like this where the players might want to actually argue with production about a component of the game. And it shouldn't be about production. It should be about the players.
Right.
And so it's definitely creating a very big potential icky mess.
Yes.
Well, it happened in our season. We had to speak to production, and the production didn't know because they were unclear. And then when they decided to edit me looking like a fool, it wasn't that I was looking like a fool. It was like there was 4 papers with his one little thing, because one explained this, one explained that, and everybody thought, oh, we saw it. But to my credit, I knew there were more papers, and I didn't know what those papers had or didn't have, and I didn't trust that they knew either, which was the whole reason I looked like a complete moron in that episode when I actually was being super, super smart. But guess what? Guess what? I will still admit that even though Evie said that it was not active, I still said, well, what if it was? Because, you become crazy when you think you're going to go home.
Yeah.
Especially when you're playing and you're not eating. But that's just to show the weight of what these mean and for these players to have. And before you go hooting and howling, you better know how that thing works, because that really dictates how you as a player are going to interact going forward with your other players, right? Yeah. How do I have to maneuver this? Because what am I looking like a huge target, or am I looking like I can potentially be of help to you down the line? Yeah. And so I think it's great that they're, creating these advantages, but at the same time, they need to make them a little less ambiguous.
Yeah, ambiguous. Yeah, I mean, I think if I had to guess, it's just a normal immunity idol that he can only use at the first 2 tribal councils.
But are they the first tribal councils that he goes
can?
to?
His. That's I think right. It said. Right. I think it said his.
Yeah.
But the thing is,
but that
they're just acting like everybody knows what an immunity idol is. So,
But here's the thing: he can potentially say, right? He can potentially. Okay, let's say they get down to 2 people, right? No. That keeps him safe. Let's say they lose the next 2. That gets them down to how many?
I feel like we're back in that episode again.
Before to merge, I guess
11.
11. I'm trying to figure out what the best move for him would be. Like to not play it. No, he'd have to play it. So
well, he's already one tribal council's gone by.
So that's done now.
He has one more shot.
So basically, it's played immediately, no matter what.
I mean, if he's smart, he wasn't going to play it this time. Who knows? He might be like, "Oh,
but that's what I'm saying. Did he have to play it?
It doesn't. That's
no.
Exactly
I mean, because it says it's good for the next 2.
I don't think you ever have.
I think it's right. It's his choice still.
So it was his choice still. That's what I'm asking. But what is the choice if you only have 2 to go to?
Right.
Well, right, because then it's like if you don't use it at the first one, you can use it at the second one.
Yeah.
And that's it. It's not like you can use it again later.
Right.
So why would you not use it?
Why would he not use it this time when he's, what he was saying he was going to do?
I just think
he's a little crazy.
That was a little crazy. But do you get what I'm saying, or am I sounding crazy?
We get it.
Okay.
Sunglasses throw me off just a little bit.
Well, listen, I'm practicing what it's like to be either poker player or Big Brother player. Why do they wear sunglasses on Big Brother? Somebody please tell me. So you don't see their eyes?
There's lots of light.
Oh,
I don't know.
Thanks, because now I look like a fool. It's not what I meant. They do it in the house. They wear them in the house like this.
I don't know. They think it's
shifty
cool.
eyes. They don't want anyone to see what they're looking at.
Oh, it's not a poker game. I mean, I guess it is. Whatever. Yeah.
Moving on. I also want to talk about. I only have one more thing. Eventually we'll get to Morriah. This would have been interesting to talk about with Voce here, because Owen was basically channeling Voce when they got the Sweater Savvy option, talking about not wanting to do it, giving the same reasons that Voce gave. And but since Voce isn't here to talk about how smart Owen is, to have learned from him, we'll get your thoughts on it, Tiffany.
Owen was another one that didn't match what I thought he was going to be like on the show a little bit. And I don't know why that is for me exactly, because it's nothing he did or didn't do. It's just sometimes you think somebody's going to be a certain way, and he wasn't quite what I expected. Maybe I thought he'd be much more socially in.
Yeah. He seemed a little more withdrawn than I had anticipated.
I thought he'd be like much more kumbaya-ish and like really getting into the social
aspect. More of a silent leader kind of thing.
No, he's pretty much what I expected.
Really?
He's a strategist, and I don't think he expected to be on the Kumbaya tribe. He didn't expect to be getting something with Gabler and say, "Hey, okay, I'll let you know if I hear your name." He didn't expect to get no response from someone when you say that, because the proper response is, "Oh yeah, me too." Even if you don't plan on doing it, that is the proper response. And Gabler's just like, "Yeah, we're going to win all the challenges."
Yeah, that was. Okay. Yeah. That being said, you can say he learned from Voce, but what I will say to that is the sweat challenge, no matter what, sucks, because no matter what, Yes, but no matter what, right? You're separated from the rest of the people, and it's all on you, win or lose.
Yes.
Yeah.
No matter what. So you're all in it together, or you're all in, or it's basically just one time till the next time you go out and play that you get your stuff, right? You're not going to be without for the rest of your life. So it almost makes much more sense to just do the savvy.
Yeah.
So I think we're learning that along the way. Yet they did the X and they got it in an hour and that was it. And I guess if you're smart, but with the water challenge on ours, there was no good way to do that fast.
Yeah.
No matter what you say, there was no strategizing, no amount of strategizing that would have two people with only two things get water and fill those 2 buckets up in an hour.
I mean, I know it was portrayed as Ryan strategizing it, but it was luck. I mean, yeah, okay, we're going to do an X pattern. Fine. Maybe you'll hit it. Maybe you won't. You could have done a plus sign pattern. You could have done a corners pattern. It was luck that they happened to hit it with the X, because if it had been placed somewhere else, they wouldn't have gotten it. I do think, considering how much they dug in half an hour, that with 4 hours, they pretty much could have dug up that whole square.
Yeah, that's the one thing I think that they definitely would have gotten through all of it. Been very hot and sweaty and full of sand, but they would have gotten through it.
They would have gotten through it. Where I feel like in ours, there was a good potential to not finish that.
Oh, and honestly, watching your season, I didn't think that it was possible that they were even
I didn't think it was possible either. I thought in my head, I was like, oh my God, this is insanity.
Yeah.
Like sheer insanity. It's 1,000 degrees. They have no water for, like, I swear, the first 2 hours. They really didn't have anything to drink until someone was like, we need to get them a drink. Or they asked production or something like, are we going to even get like our water bottles? Like, this is insane. They had no sun protection even going yet. Like, there was so many elements that weren't thought out for that. Like, yes, that was really like brutal. And I guess it was the new era. So that was the point, but it was almost like they went so hard on everything, that, and I don't know if they meant to, but it actually turned out that way.
Yeah.
So they've ironed out those kinks, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's good to see that they did. You can win the sweat, you can win the savvy.
Right.
But a little bit less of a choice when, you have, I don't know. I don't know. Those 2 water buckets for me were like, it was a very difficult choice, where these were 2 very doable things.
Yes.
Or the bones, you knew what you were going to do. Like, I don't know.
Okay.
The bone thing, though, I was a little taken aback because I looked at that and thought,
oh shit,
this is terrible. Like, I mean, you have one guess. They used to have 2, right? They had 2 options.
Well, they had one guess.
We had 1,
and then they went to 2, and then they went.
Now they're back to 1.
Now they're back to 1. So that's definitely a little more scary as well. And so I was looking at it thinking, my gosh, I'd be digging in that sand all day long.
Yeah.
But
you know what? It's funny because I don't know if I'm a good or a bad person, to be honest with you. I don't do enough of them, to be honest, to know. Like, I like them, but when I was out there, I remember being terrified to volunteer because I didn't know if I put the pressure how I'd be. So, but when I saw that bone thing, I have done the one with the toothpicks where you move one toothpick to make a different number. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, it's just you take the top 2, and like I saw it right away. Because I have done just like it. Only because I happen to have, it's a brain teaser. I do them with my students. So it's just that I happen to have done something like that. So it's also like luck. Like, who would have known that I've ever done anything like that with toothpicks? Like, that was a thing we did. You know?
Yeah, it was like Danny winning the challenge because he happened to do Sudoku in the weeks of quarantine for Survivor.
Yeah.
Hours
and Evie knowing how to do that puzzle because she had actually built it and studied it. So
little twirls.
Yeah.
Yep.
No.
What's the odds? So the odds are that it can happen. And when it does, that's when production's like, oh boy, we got it. Now we got to go to something else, So it's like they retired that apparently, or he said he was going to retire that after Evie got like that one. By the way, I look very, very, very fabulous on my listen.
Your sound is completely fuzzing out.
Sound?
Yeah.
Still?
Well, now you're not talking, but you're echoing. But
I am.
Well, we are in yours because you're not using headphones. But It's gotten better.
Anyway,
it's gotten better.
You know what was funny though? As soon as she started complimenting how hot she looked in her sunglasses, that was when the computer cut in and made her sound like a robot. I'm curious if David Bloomberg has something to do with this.
That's right.
You know what? Can we cut this out of this one? Because I need that not to happen to me.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
No. Sure. It'll be edited out. Sure.
I just want you to know I'm living.
You're living large.
Large.
Yeah. So I had a few other thoughts, but it's already 40 minutes in, and
I know.
I have or will be putting those in TikTok, so people can check out at David_Bloomberg on TikTok. I had Sammy's thoughts on animal cremation. I had shelters falling down, or I will have shelters falling, things like that. Did either of you two have anything else before we move on to the rules?
I will say that I do appreciate the fact that I feel like they touched on each player.
Yes.
And so we do have a good understanding of each person, more so than I think we have in seasons past. So thank you for that, CBS. I appreciate that.
I agree. I'll say the same. I felt that it was a very even edit and it was very enjoyable.
Yes, it was. It was actually enjoyable. I often when I watch Survivor, I'm looking for those moments where it's a little comedic or something that's that's a little off. But there seemed to be, it's kind of harmonious. There wasn't a whole lot of those moments where you could really like find some gift to be like, this is funny. I felt like it was just more of a get to know the tribe, each tribe and each person. And it really did seem to be even across the board as far as editing was concerned.
Yeah, it was really, they used those like moments, to try to be funny in some little tiny ways. And it kind of worked. I just thought it was really, it was very smooth. It just felt smooth. Like I enjoyed it. I really did.
It's amazing. Really it's amazing what can happen when they have 2 hours, only one tribal council, and they shorten up significantly the amount of time spent on advantage stuff.
Yeah. And still leave 10 minutes talking about how wonderful Survivor is.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, before we get to the rules, I do have one more thing, and that is that you can go to find the rules that we're about to talk about in poster form. You go to robhasawebsite.com/YXLostFeed, scroll down to the poster like I just did, and click on it. And then you will order it, and our shipping department will be right on top of that.
I will be.
And then, of course, you can keep scrolling.
Tiffany, I know. Okay, I know.
I was waiting for that. You can keep scrolling, and you can get to a poster T-shirt. You can get a checklist T-shirt. There's the checklist mug.
Right? There's so many things, Tiffany.
It is sweatshirt season. You can get those.
Yeah.
Sweatshirt?
Yes.
Tiffany, we can dress you up.
I'm in the market for a rules sweatshirt.
All right.
Okay. Well, we know where you can go for that.
That's right.
Sign me up.
It's robhasawebsite.com/YXLostFeed. Click on it and order away.
And there's all kinds of options. There's hoodies. I think that you have a hoodie, right, David? And I have two don't you have a blue one? I feel like you have a blue one.
Yeah, no, I said I do.
Oh, it was like you were asking.
Yes.
I do.
No, I do.
I can say that.
It's all about inflection, okay?
Yep.
No inflection on the do. I love do. Living. Okay, keep moving.
Anyway, so order posters and T-shirts and sweatshirts and mugs. It'll be lovely. You should get a mug for your classroom, Tiffany.
Oh, I should. Today, my new student discovered that I was on Survivor.
Oh, hey.
And you don't know this?
Well, because remember, I have new kids every day because they're suspended.
So
I have a rolling roster. And today, instead of doing their homework and enrichment, I saw them Googling me. Good times. Good times.
Yeah.
Well, if there are any future students that are Googling you now, hi.
Right.
They're lovely. They're lovely. I'm so thirsty. Hold on.
All right. Well, we will continue on here. I don't know what just happened. She's going to get more wine or something.
I'm back.
Okay. Well, Morriah talked about how they won or how they all won because they tried, etc. That attitude is great as a teacher, but not so much as a Survivor player. Morriah said in interviews that she thinks she was voted out because the others perceived her as being the weakest on the tribe, even though she didn't think her tribe had a weakest person. But she also said she knew her downfall in the game was going to be playing with her heart. Which of these ended up being the case, or was it something different altogether? It's time to figure out why Morriah lost. 45 minutes into the Why Morriah Lost podcast.
Hi,
Morriah.
Yeah. Hi, Morriah. She is so lovely.
She is lovely.
She's so lovely. She really does kick them with joy and punches with rainbows. That's definitely not how she said it.
Yeah, something like that.
But I'm wearing my sunglasses because she's so bright and joyful.
Yes.
She is very bright.
Yes.
So we begin, of course, with the first and most important rule, which is to scheme and plot. I feel I need to emphasize that this is the most important rule because clearly certain parts of the Baka tribe did not get the memo. Owen, who definitely knows this, attempted to strategize, but quickly realized he was getting nowhere fast. As Sammy said prior to losing the challenge, quote, "We didn't talk any strategy at all." Now, that's not entirely true because, as I mentioned, Owen tried. Talked about how Gabler was not receptive, but it does seem that Ellie must have at least paid some attention because she mentioned in tribal council that one thing she considered was who reached out to her first. And we also saw her and Owen talking together to a couple other people at times after the challenge loss. And it sure looked like Ellie was the main one directing this vote in the episode as she decided between the Women's Alliance and doing something else, what actually happened.
Yep. I feel like part of Morriah's issue with her not strategizing as much as we would have hoped she would was she was relying, I think, very heavily on the way that she is every single day. And one of the things that she focuses on is that people find it very easy to trust her because of the way that she is. And so I think she probably thought it was going to just kind of come natural to her, that she would be able to connect with people, they would trust her, and then that would turn into a strategy and allow her to play the game because people are just going to automatically trust her. And I because someone with her personality, I think, is very used to being jovial and just having an atmosphere of happiness and people enjoying her company. But this is Survivor. And so it's a different type of company. And though they can enjoy you, that doesn't mean that they necessarily want to play the game with you. And so I feel like that's maybe where she got a little messed up in this rule.
I'm gonna weigh in.
Yes,
okay.
Please.
Yes. Love weighing in. As a teacher, and I'll speak to this, we are often looked to for our ideas to validate the kids, to validate our students, whoever, even if they're not kids. And it's often that we feel like our social aspect of who we are is almost a given, like you're saying. And I also think between that and having heard even a drop of all girls, she probably just said, let me sit back. I'm sitting pretty. Between, I didn't mess up the challenge, so there's nothing there, right? She's thinking, it wasn't really me. I mean, if anything, Janine took much longer going underneath the sand, right, to get through. I'm talking correctly right now.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. Okay. But yeah.
So right, later. Okay. So, but at the end of the day, she probably said to herself, well, why would it be me? Right. I'm likable. Most people see I'm joyful. I'm a pleasure to have around camp, right? I keep us sunny when we're down, and that's going to mean more than me hardcore strategizing right now.
Yeah.
And it just didn't work out for her that way.
Right. Yeah. So Tyson has a podcast that he talks about Survivor. And he said on his podcast that you shouldn't be the day one schemer, and those people never win. Now, I usually agree with Tyson, but sorry, Tyson, you're wrong here. Obviously, you don't want to overdo it.
I said, join the club, Tyson.
Yeah.
No, it's wrong.
I mean, you obviously don't want to overdo it, but you can't just ignore it. To quote some excerpts from this rule. From the very beginning, you have to start making alliances and cementing relationships. And I do mean the very beginning. This is especially true with the new accelerated format. Too many players come into the game saying once their tribe mates get to know them, all will be great. But you don't have time to just sit back and wait.
And that is something that she actually talked about in her pregame.
Mm-hmm.
Now that you mention it, she was talking about how the initial reaction that people would have to her was, whoa, this girl's a lot. And then she was explaining, though, that like basically the more time that people spend with her, they'll realize that. But one of the things we pointed out is the game moves more quickly and you don't have time to do that. And ta-da, look at that. Maybe we were right about something.
We were definitely right about this, and yeah, we said that was one of the new additions to the rules that people should have gotten. You can't, it was always in there to say you have to do it quickly. I mean, you should always be making day 1, day 2 alliances. You just should. And, the rule even has something that addresses Tyson's concern. It says, don't be pushy. You don't want to be instantly tagged as being overbearing about it, but look for good opportunities to form early relationships.
Right.
Not having alliance is not a good strategy. You need them. And we definitely saw that here. Morriah's post-game interviews show she recognizes that, now, as she told Mike Bloom, she wanted to stay on the road of positivity, but everyone else, quote, was at a place where they wanted to be more strategic and they wanted to have a more cutthroat game. And I wasn't at that place yet. Well, you can't delay getting to that place. You need to be there right away.
Right. And I will say, though, to her credit, and as Tiffany has already referenced, she did think that she had an all-girls alliance. So she at least had that component done. But there was that lacking component where you can't just sit back then go, all right, I'm good because I've got 2 people with me and they're going to be in this alliance with me because things change. And we've seen that. And obviously here things changed.
Yeah.
She also did say, and I'm sure you've mentioned this if you haven't, that she's there to make friends.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
And making friends comes way later in Survivor. You make friends after Survivor, right? And it's just funny because you really do make friends. You make friends with people from, 30 seasons ago. You make friends with the people from your season. You make friends with the people ahead of you. That's the amazing part of Survivor is that the friends come no matter what. But you don't have time to do that when you're on the island.
Right.
It's make plans.
Right.
Make plans.
Exactly.
So, that's where she was in trouble.
Now, yeah, that it's bad when Jeff says you can't be all kumbaya. And he was blown away by the players saying they didn't even think about tribal council and, they were final 6, etc. And, Jeff even somewhat brought up what I think is a key as it relates to Morriah here, because there wasn't strategizing earlier. It didn't take much for a finger to be pointed. And once it was, there wasn't much time to change its direction. As Owen said at Tribal Council, it's the price we pay for trying to be kumbaya for too long. Except it was actually the price only Morriah paid.
Yeah, but we came close to losing Owen because of it.
Right.
And Owen wanted to strategize and Owen wanted to play this game in the manner in which we've discussed, but it was kumbaya. And so it was unfortunately getting in the way of his desire to do that. So, that's the ripple effect of Survivor, right? That you come in with a plan and you want to play the game a certain way. And if the rest of your tribe doesn't want to, that's going to be really hard for you. And so I feel that Owen was that person that we saw that happening to. And I sat there and I was all nervous, obviously.
Oh, God, I thought I was going to throw up. I thought we had both picked Owen. I like everything I've seen about Owen. If he was first booted, we would never have done predictions again.
No, I've told you I want to stop doing them because I'm terrible. Oh, and you want to know what happened too as we're watching it? My husband is my husband is sitting there watching the show with me and says, how's your prediction pick going there, Jessica? And I was like, come on. I'm like, don't do that to me. He was making fun of me. So I'm just going to say.
Yeah, well, I would have been too, except it was also my prediction.
I know. I know.
Yeah. Now,
well, it's a good thing nobody asked me.
What your prediction was?
Was it Morriah?
I felt like it might have been.
See, you cursed her, even by thinking about it.
I don't know why. I think it's because everything about her was so like bright and big. I felt like she was going to stand out and they were going to just boot her for that. And that was just really the thought process. There wasn't like any strategy involved or anything. That is why I thought it. Mm-hmm. I think that's why it jumped into my head. But other than that, there was no really good reason for me to think that.
So wait, was she your winner pick or your first boot pick? Oh, we were talking about winner pick.
Oh, okay. Oh, no. She was,
okay.
She was, I thought maybe she was going to be the first boot.
Okay.
But only because of her bright, just because of the way they showed her being so bright and
yes.
I don't know that there was no good reason for it. It was just, sorry, Morriah, I didn't do that to you though.
No.
No, but we've talked about that though, that there's, unfortunately with the first vote, you're looking for any reason to vote somebody out.
Right. Exactly.
And sometimes players come on to the show or into the game handing people a reason to vote them out. And so this is where that self-awareness really comes in. And we talked about Sammy being so self-aware. Mm-hmm. He was very cognizant of himself and how people were going to perceive him. And not that Morriah did anything wrong, but if you do want to give someone a reason, the way that she presented herself could have been that reason. And that's something that everybody who goes on to play this game has to be aware of, that those first couple of days, those first few days, they're just trying to find, as long as it's not me, what can we point at someone else for? And then that could have been it, 100%.
And to that, I just wanted to let you know how incredible. Hold on, let me just. I'm about to compliment myself. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank God. To my credit, after that balance beam performance, I managed to stay in the game.
Yeah.
Yes.
By voting out Voce. Yeah.
That's almost unbelievable.
Yes.
Can we give me credit for that?
Well, yes, you
for
got
voting out Voce. He's been giving you credit for it.
I've been giving you credit and blame at the same time.
You're giving me shit, is what you're giving me.
Ooh.
Bad word.
Oh, no. Yeah, and we will, obviously a target got painted on Morriah. And we will talk about that more as we go through the rules, probably mostly in Appendix A. But I want to emphasize this point once more. Because she wasn't scheming, because she was just relying on the relationship she had with the women, once her name was brought up, she was in big trouble and didn't even know it. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's it, Tiffany. You knew it. You were scheming. You could do something about it. Now, yours was a little more obvious. She didn't even know. You knew you fell off the balance beam once or twice or 8 times. But
oh, dear God. Can you hear me? It's me. It's time.
But she didn't even
8
know.
times.
And, as Zach said on the recap with Rob, the only thing Morriah could have done was push for the target to switch like Tori did last season against Zach, by throwing someone else under the bus. But to do that, like I said, she would have had to realize she was target. But she presumed everybody was friends, so she didn't even know.
Can't presume.
Yeah.
See, even if that's the thing, I wasn't. It's not that I knew that I was a target. It's just I always felt like the target. No matter what, I went in saying, I'm just going to pretend I'm always the target. This way I know for a fact where I stand, and it's at least that I tried, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the problem. She felt too comfortable.
Yeah.
The minute you feel safe and comfortable, you're up the creek without a paddle.
Yeah.
And you have to, listen, we are out there. There's just so many places you can be. You have to be thinking at least it could be me. Like, it could be. And if it is, let me just poke around a little bit and see what's happening, right? I mean, I had every reason to believe it might have been me, but then there was chatter on top of it that, for me, that Voce had thrown my name out there.
Right.
Before that, it was between Voce and Xander. It wasn't even going to be me at all. So to that point, I was the Morriah sitting there. It was just that I saw the way that Voce started to behave, and that made me very nervous. And that's why I was like, is it me? And then that's when it all changed. So it's all based on behavior and being aware of what's going on around you. Yeah. So, like, not that it's always right, and not that I was right to think what I thought, but maybe Morriah missed something along the way.
Well, and she did say that she felt that shift come once they were in tribal council. So the Spidey sense on the island was not where it needed to be. And she wasn't having that sense of panic, which maybe her tribe mates were doing a great job making her feel comfortable. So kudos to them if that's what they did.
Right.
But she wasn't catching on to it until it was way too late. Because once you're sitting in tribal, that's it.
But she did have shot in the dark. She didn't use it, right? Did she say
no, she did not.
That?
And that's
right.
I don't think she. No, I don't remember seeing it. Do you remember seeing that, David?
What?
Shot in the dark. Like, did she ever consider even using it?
No, but also, did Jeff even talk about it?
Shot in the dark?
He never did it with us either. He didn't do it the night I got voted out. He didn't remand me or say anything.
No, but not the night, but like at the beginning of the game, he talked about shot in the dark and threw your dice. He didn't even talk about it.
Didn't even consider it. No,
I think he must have done that.
He had to because Gabler was talking about shot in the dark.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I and if you feel that shift, damn it, worst case scenario, it's just one. What's just one of your? If it's not you, then you got nothing to lose.
Right.
For me, I just totally forgot I had it.
Yeah.
And then I was also 50-50 because I thought maybe I had shifted it enough to get it onto Heather, which it was close, and that maybe my vote would have mattered. So I was really on the fence, but I also really forgot about it.
Yeah.
Like I didn't weigh it hard enough because I didn't even think about it. It's almost like a forgotten thing if it's not reminded. So it's kind of like, I don't know. It's funny because like I don't know that she even would have thought to use it. It just doesn't come. It's sitting there. It's weird that it doesn't come to mind yet.
Well, your brain is fuzzy from where, all of, all of the things that are happening, right? Lack of food, lack of sleep, this whole experience that you're part of. And then you're sitting here with Jeff Probst, who is, the light is shining off of him and there's like doves around him and he's completely distracting. And so it's one of those situations where you just don't think the way that you would think every single day. Bloomberg and I have talked about this a lot. My job requires that I think on my feet and I have to come up with things at the spur of the moment. And I have to make an argument that makes sense. And I don't struggle with that every single day, but that's because I'm in my every single day world. When you're out there, it changes the way your brain works and you miss those things. And that's why when you come home, you're like, God, why didn't I do that? But your brain is not moving the way that it does when you're at home.
And then we're sitting here and go, God, why didn't they do that?
Exactly. And then you have people like us judging you and talking about you.
Oh my God. Yeah. It's such a thing because I'm so good on my feet normally, but out there even when Jeff would ask me questions.
Well, that's because you weren't on your feet on the balance beam.
Oh, God. Excuse me. You know what? On that note, I am going to get headphones because this is not suiting me now.
Okay.
I shall be back.
So anyway, while she is gone to get headphones, I did want to mention that, on our preview podcast, I noted that much of the information we had about Morriah wasn't about strategy, but mostly focused on how she watched with her family. And I even worried about her strategic reference to playing like James in terms of his don't bite the apple approach to keeping alliances together, because that type of strategy has not really succeeded lately. And I specifically said, I think she'll get left behind if she insists on trying it. I just didn't think she'd be left behind quite this quickly.
Yeah. She's back.
Yeah.
I'm back, but I'm not sure that these are working. Hold on.
Okay. Well, we could hear you. But anyway, so like I said, we could see what happened after she became the target. We will. Yeah, we did see rather what happened after she became the target. We'll discuss some of the reasons that the arrow pointed at her as we go through the rest of the rules.
This is a great look. I love this.
Pilot.
Yes. So let's keep on going to the second rule while Tiffany fixes her headphones.
How is it? Do you hear me?
Yeah.
Well, we hear you. I'm just not sure that the headphones are actually plugged in, but
They are.
Okay.
Can you hear us?
I can hear you. It's just really low.
Okay, well, then everything's functioning the
well,
way
no,
that
I'm actually sorry, everybody. I'm actually wondering. I didn't hear anything change. I'm actually wondering if it's going to the headphones, but you'll have to check to see somehow.
I don't hear an echo anymore.
I hear you.
Okay. All right.
You hear me?
Yes.
Maverick. Do you hear me?
All right. So the second rule says not to scheme and plot too much and to keep your scheming secret. This is why I wish we could edit.
Our poor listeners. I'm so sorry.
It's like a live podcast, but
I never apologize.
It's a comedy show.
Now, considering what we just spent a while discussing, I don't think we have much to talk about in the second rule. Tiffany, did you see anything that she did wrong in terms of scheming and plotting too much?
No.
Okay, and that is the shortest answer we will ever get from Tiffany.
You're welcome.
I love this.
So, Jessica, do you have anything, or can we just move to the
I just want to say Tiffany looks like a badass right now. So if you aren't watching, you should definitely watch because this is quite the look. I love this.
Yes.
It's my homage to Top Gun.
I love it. And as far as her scheming and plotting too much,
okay,
I would agree. No, I don't think there was.
I just want to say I'm trying not to talk too much so that your really very serious listeners on Twitter don't say, it's very funny. However, I really like it when it's just you and Jess and you're going through the rules and Tiffany's not there because she talks too.
Well, now
Tiffany, but we always come and defend you. We love
do.
you.
Yeah.
Okay, I do.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, and you want to know something? I'm just going to say this, and I realize we're an hour and 6 minutes in, and we haven't even started Rule 3 yet, but I do think that when I started on this podcast with Bloomberg, he was a little, how do you say, too serious?
No.
Yes, you were, and I've brought out the fun in Bloomberg.
I was always fun.
Oh, stop.
Oh, God.
I have always been fun.
I really do believe that you have become much more fun since you had a little bit of Jessica added to the podcast.
A little bit
of Jessica in your a little bit of
I had a feeling that was coming, but
a little bit of Tiffany by my side. See, we can
we're gonna get a copyright warning for using the song now.
Oh God. It's not even the right words.
Yes, I know. But anyway, yeah, you might say that I have become more flexible, kind of like the third rule.
Oh, look at you. What a transition.
Yes, it appears that Jeff was not only reading the first rule before talking to Baca in tribal council, but also the third, because he told Dalton Ross, a big key to our game design is playing on assumptions. If the game going left, right, up, down, the players will never know, which is why the great players stay alert and flexible. Then when a twist or unexpected event happens, they're ready to adapt and adjust accordingly. You know, if Jeff keeps this up, I'm going to have to start charging him a fee.
Maybe we should send him a poster.
Or a bill.
You can just send him a balance. Just kidding. Very bad joke. Balance beam, get it? Oh, it's terrible.
Then we should send that to you.
That was it was so bad. So bad. Oh, it's got to be the sunglasses.
Yes, but bringing it back to Morriah, considering the way she kind of had tunnel vision about them being the happy fun tribe, I didn't see her as terribly flexible. Jessica, what about you? What do you think?
Well, I think that this brings us back to the point we were talking about in Rule 1, where she had found her group, right? She had the two other women, and they decided, Women's Alliance, this is what we're doing. And she locked herself into that. And she even said that she didn't really reach out to other, like Owen in particular, wasn't someone that she really had conversations, game-related conversations, let alone many conversations with. So I really do think she was, as we talked about, very comfortable and thought, that's it. I'm good. I have my other two. This is fine. Like, we're all set. And I don't need to shift from that. Whereas she was with two women who were willing to be flexible and willing to consider other things, whereas she wasn't.
Yeah.
Tiffany, it's okay. You can talk.
Yeah, a little bit.
I'm going to mute myself.
Oh, okay.
No, you shouldn't. But this look, it's very becoming.
I mean, that's it. She's just being the strong, silent, type.
She's like in witness protection right now.
Yeah.
I'm playing hard to get.
Yes. Well, we'll get to something.
Do you see what happens? She's without Voce, and now she wants to be quiet.
Yes.
You've saddened her, Voce.
So sad. No, I'm. It's coming. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I'm just giving you all time to speak.
Building up. The fourth rule tells players not to let their emotions control them. When Morriah was discussing the formation of the Women's Alliance in her interview with Mike Bloom, she said, and I mentioned this earlier, I knew that my downfall in the game was going to be playing with my heart, because I do that in life all the time. I play with my heart. I don't listen to my gut. And it's interesting to me because she related playing with her heart to the Women's Alliance. But that alliance was one of the good things she did game-wise. If anything, her problem was that she didn't follow up on it enough to solidify it, to make sure to check in. But, maybe that does go back to her heart, because she just, as we were talking about, she made the alliance. She assumed they were good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, I remember in going into a confessional, and I bet this has happened. I bet it happened to her too. Like, going into confessional, and this is probably where she didn't go right, which is where I overdid it. She underdid it. Like, I kept saying, yeah, but what if? And they kept saying, Tiff, you're good. And I kept saying, but what if? Because I just was not, I just didn't feel safe enough. And I think maybe she needed to come somewhere in between what I did and what she did, which was be like, okay, I'm good. I'm All Girls Alliance. I'm likable. I'm lovable, playing with my heart. And I know they got me, and that's it. And I don't care how good you are at playing like, oh, yeah, you're good, because Abby told me I was good. Liana told me I was good. Yeah. And I still felt like at any given moment, they could sit down in there and sit at a tribal. Jeff could say one thing that could tweak them, and they'd go, you know what? Let's keep them strong. And that would have been it. But I was such a gigantic pain in the butt that I think it really made a difference. I do. I think that it made the difference. Like, I did enough yapping in the ear, go figure, because, I'm not a big talker, 11. But I was living and drinking my seltzer.
I know you've drank so much seltzer.
Are you so? It's part of my.
But you don't know it's hard seltzer. So,
everything I drink is hard seltzer. Oh God. Oh, good God. That's why I don't talk. Oh, Lord. Forgive me on Rosh Hashanah. Jessica?
Not quite.
Good Lord. My God.
You have another day to get forgiveness.
That was really
another
bad.
11.
We're back to the...
see what happens when I talk? Then you have to mute me and take it out. The whole thing.
No, there's no editing here.
Yeah, there's no editing. Yeah, this is all... Yeah.
Great. And you can find me on OnlyFans if you'd like. You can't find me on OnlyFans.
That people are going to be looking now.
I would, if my sons didn't tell me, God, Mom, if you ever did that, we would disown you. I was like, do not threaten me with a good time.
Yeah.
Because that is not a threat. Okay. Anyway, I'm aware. I'm 49. I'm not OnlyFans material. Okay, people.
Yeah, but you know what? You could be. You don't know.
This look.
I know. I'm saying this is working right now.
Yeah. Should I do an OnlyFans Top Gun edition? Just like.
I don't know enough about OnlyFans to be.
Oh, Bloomberg.
So.
Do you think I buy that?
Yes. TikTok, not OnlyFans.
Not OnlyFans?
No.
You know what? Don't hate on OnlyFans.
I'm not hating on it.
You got to take off the cap when you want to drink. FYI.
On OnlyFans, you have to take off the cap?
That's right. That's not the only thing you got to take off.
Oh, my God.
And this is a family show.
Yeah, well,
not anymore.
Not anymore. Now, I going back to Morriah,
Morriah.
Yes, I guess we could say her heart is also what led to her pushing the whole kumbaya narrative, which of course triggered the lack of strategizing, which triggered everything else we talked about. But she wasn't alone in that, so we can't lay that all at her feet.
No, and I think that's fair because I do think that now with the new era of Survivor, there seems to be a shift in the type of person who is also playing Survivor. And it's not just the cutthroat, competitive, I want to win type of person that I feel like we used to see a lot more of. I think now we have people who are playing the game who are desirous of building themselves and finding something within themselves. A lot of that was mentioned in the pregame press that I have an opportunity to really be with me and learn about me. And it's not just about winning, which I know you and I, David, agree that you're there to win. And when people say anything but that, it's I can't wrap my brain around that. Like, this is what you're there for. You're there to win. You're not there to find yourself. I mean, yes, I was going out there and thinking, wow, this is an opportunity for me to just take care of me, but I want to win. And so that shift, I think, then welcomes this idea that we're going to be kumbaya and we have an opportunity to be a family and love each other and be a tribe. And that's not something that you saw early on in the seasons of Survivor. People were cutthroat very early and mean.
I mean, I'm going to disagree. We saw a fair amount of it early. What we didn't see was people who were familiar with the game being that way. We saw
and
people,
that's true. That's
people
true.
coming in and being like, I don't really know this game, but I'm here for the experience. I want to become one with nature, or I want to, be holy. I want to do this. I want to create a new society, which I know Jeff talked about, but here it's like a combination. We have a lot more combination people. Like, I know it's a game, but I also want to do this, and they have their Survivor goals, but those goals don't necessarily include winning.
How does it not?
Because I think what's happening in this new era of life and the world we're living in is a little bit of that. We're going on a yoga retreat. We're not going to play Survivor. And tell me about yourself. And what is it about yourself? And there is a little bit of, even with Jeff, this is it's human behavior. And human behavior, nobody wants to be uncomfortable in human behavior. We want to be accepted. We want to be validated. We want to be liked. And Survivor is everything but if you want to win. You have to have all those things, but you have to want to win.
Yeah.
And if you lose sight of that for a second on this game, you are done. And on top of it, not eating and not sleeping, and you're just not thinking, and you really want to be liked and loved out there because you're so depleted. So it's like with this whole new era and all of these people that are coming from now, a real diverse background. You have Jesse, who was in a gang. You have, it just runs the gamut of people from all different walks of life, right? Versus back in the day when you had a lot of models and people from California and whatever. Now you have people who have been through a lot in life, right? And this might be the first time they ever really had a moment to themselves where they are using it as an opportunity to reaffirm themselves as who am I? Right. And you lose sight of the game when you're really that self-focused, and somehow also lose sight of, you also lose self-awareness in the game perspective. You may be getting a ton of awareness of who the heck you are, but you're lost in the game. Yeah. So I think it's kind of this whole new era of like, I learned so much out there, and to hear us coming back again after the game, after we've eaten, after we've slept, saying that was the best experience of my life. But really, I didn't win $1 million. So all I do now is say, shit, I want to go back out there and I'm going to freaking win. And I'm not going to be so nice. And I'm not going to be so kumbaya. And I'm going to keep that damn idol. And I'm going to keep that extra vote. Because honestly, it's a once in a lifetime shot. And you get so caught up in like the, oh my God, like the surrealness of it. And then you get lost, and then you don't want that to kind of affect your game. And it seemingly is happening. And I think that that's part of what happened to Morriah. She went out there with that big, happy, go-lucky personality, kind of just let it all go. I'm going to be who I am, and they're all going to accept me and love me, and this is my time. And that got you voted out. Yeah. Right? So I think part of it, right? Well, part of it, yes. But that's what ultimately happened, right? You're now not in the game, and now looking back, you're like, wait a minute, this is about winning $1 million.
Yeah, I mean, but even her, and Actually, this transitions nicely to the fifth rule because it reminds players they need to pretend to be nice and play the social game. And sometimes we get to this rule and we say, well, this person didn't need to pretend to be nice because they just are nice. And there have been times when we've even labeled some people as the nicest players ever. But we clearly have a new person taking over that role because even after getting voted out, Morriah is still super nice.
She's so pleasant and lovely and wonderful.
Yeah, she only had great things to say about her tribe mates in her exit interviews. I mean, she's like, well, that's the way they saw it. And if they saw it that way, who am I to say differently? Even when it came to how people labeled her, again, she said, she wouldn't take those perceptions away. And we'll get to those perceptions later. But the point is, she is just so damn nice.
She really is. So it's just exuding. That's why the rainbows are just coming out of her.
She's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, I wrote her, she wrote me, did she write me? I wrote her a little note, great job, Instagram. And she wrote me back with rainbows and hearts. And she's just, this is who she is. She's unapologetically herself. And you know what? She's not a whiner. She didn't come off going, oh, it should have been that. She was just, she's a real decent human. Mm-hmm. And I think it's really nice because now that it's over, right? It's over. She lost a few months ago now, right? She's had time. And if she can, this is who she is. And I think it's amazing that God bless her that it didn't affect her because nobody should take anybody's joy. But she is just really a kind human. And I think it's just nice to see that even though even though she didn't win. And it just shows that she's just as good as she appears to be. Mm-hmm. And I like that. I actually love that, to be honest.
I do too.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the thing is, and this is something that one of you discussed, I'm sorry, I can't remember which of you discussed it earlier about her coming in saying she wanted to make friends and create long lasting bonds. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's all well and good. But, Jessica, like you said, we discussed it in our preview shows. You can't make long-lasting bonds in the opening days.
Right.
I mean, you and Voce, Tiffany, were husband, island, and wife. And you turned on each other by the second vote.
You pooped together, for God's sake.
Yeah. You know what? He'll tell you this. We didn't talk strategy. And
right.
That was the problem.
But that's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah. You're
my friend.
Right. This was just the first vote of the season. There wasn't time to become such good friends that people weren't even going to vote you out.
Correct. Right. And also remember, if you want to become good friends, you got to stay in the game as long as you can, because that's when you're going to become good friends, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm. It's not in the first 3 days like Voce and I did. We were sometimes just people immediately click, but we clicked on that level, but not on the let's strategize level. Mm-hmm. Right. And so because of that cost him the game as far as, not just because of that. I mean, there were other things, but,
there's a whole podcast worth of things.
Right. There's a whole podcast worth of things and a lifetime of hell that I will pay from Bloomberg and from Voce himself, which actually this last time, to be fair, when I went to Tennessee, right, the Davids, now you have the Morriahs, right? Or the Morriah, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so this last time when I went to Tennessee, it wasn't so bad. He didn't bust my chops that bad this time. But It's only been 2 years, right? So anyway, so what I would say to that is, the friends it's going to come, but if you really want to make friends and you're going to try to stay there as long as you can to make that even more bonding experience. But obviously, if she came to make friends, I can guarantee you she has a lot of them from her season.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So that I can tell you.
Yeah. Now, the sixth rule warns against being too much of a threat. I don't think Morriah was particularly a threat to anyone except theoretically Owen, since she put his name out there. But it seems like by the time she did that, it was too late anyway. I don't know that Owen was particularly threatened by her.
Well, I would think that she was a threat by merely being a girl, because they had to think that there's going to be a girls' alliance. That always goes through your head, right? So she was a little bit of a threat.
Yeah.
Well, and also there is the likability component to it as well. And that was something that I think we saw Owen struggle with, where he didn't necessarily feel like he had connected with people the same way she had connected with people. Not only did she have the women's alliance, but she also was close with Sammy. And so she was in a different spot when it comes to, well, if we have to vote somebody out, I just enjoy her more than I enjoy him. And so that could have affected her being a threat in the game because she is very likable.
Yeah.
And if you got to pick someone, maybe you pick the person to keep around that you enjoy more than the person that you haven't really connected with.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we can move to the 7th rule, which covers idols and advantages in game mechanics. And thankfully, we didn't get as much in the way of twists to impact this vote. Gabler, of course, had his idol, so he wasn't really up for consideration. But I mean, as Morriah, I know that's not my house.
That's my.
Okay. So, even after he volunteered, he wasn't up for consideration because, like Morriah mentioned, well, just because he said he wasn't going to use it doesn't mean he wasn't going to use it.
Mm-hmm.
And several people didn't want him to go anyway. As far as idol hunting, we didn't see it, but Morriah said in her interviews that she, Ellie, and Janine went on an idol hunt while the guys were building the shelter. They said, they told the guys they were collecting bamboo, even occasionally brought some back, but they were really looking for an idol. And I think that's an interesting way to do things because it's not a tribe-wide idol hunt like we've seen. It's not an individual idol hunt. It's just your alliance, which didn't hold. But because a lot of people talked about, well, I want to find an idol, but I don't want to go out on my own and become a target. So they did it as this supposedly aligned group, which does seem like a safer alternative.
Yeah.
Though, of course, if you find one, then 2 other people know about it.
Yeah. And then it's like whoever grabs it first and turns into a whole thing. Mm-hmm.
Yep. God, I want to go back out there and find an idol. That's right in front of my face.
Right in front of your face? Yeah.
Yeah.
So they said.
So.
Jeff tried to make it very obvious. He filmed himself in the same exact spot. Didn't he put it there?
Yes.
I am telling you, I swear to you that was not there when I was there. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you that's some sort of production magic.
Well, just, Jeff wanted to be like, let's make it look like Tiffany didn't find this.
Yes. It's because he thinks I'm so awesome.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And if he doesn't, now the whole world thinks he did say that, and that's just the way I roll.
Yeah. I will say, Jeff said some pretty awesome things to me while I was out there. So,
good. That's a great thing.
Okay.
It is.
Me too. He was like, Tiffany's embarrassing herself in front of her children. Thanks, Jeff. I think I got the memo.
He did call me a badass.
Well, you are a badass.
Well, it was nice to hear that from Jeff.
From Jeff. Well, good.
Well, that's going to be that's on my list.
Well,
Jeff called me a badass.
So, speaking of the weak and the strong, Appendix A is about the tribe keeping their end goals in mind when voting. And we talk about voting out the weak, Tiffany. Then the strong, then the weak.
I'm going to get him so bad in a minute. Just give me a minute. It's coming.
This was obviously on the minds of most of the tribe because it was talked about so much when it came to Morriah. In fact, I almost elevated this appendix to be discussed first because of how much it was talked about. But I figured things would be hectic enough this first week and with a guest that, we didn't need to make the appendix come before any of the rules. I do want to say I saw a lot of tweets about how Morriah did better in the immunity challenge while Sammy and Gabler screwed up at the end and Janine was slow at the beginning. You started to talk about it earlier.
Yeah.
All of that is true. But we have to remember it doesn't come down to just one challenge. There was also a reward challenge where Morriah and Janine were last in the puzzle. There was camp activity where Sammy figured out the savvy number and he also started fire. Even Morriah told Dalton Ross, I wanted to pull Sammy in as our 4th because he was just really strong in our challenges to continue to be really, really powerful in future challenges. So even she was thinking about keeping the strong. And more than that, there was just a general impression of challengeability, which is what Ellie seemed to be going with. because, as Morriah herself said in interviews, the rest of the tribe perceived her as the weakest player.
Yeah.
And what do we say, Jessica?
Perception is reality. Yeah.
And the perception is, and our reality is, what is our reality blurred by, right? Out there. What are some of the things that your reality
Sunglasses inside?
Right, exactly, just like that. But what I will say is, challenge, I said this when Jeff asked me a question at Tribal, and I'll say it again. It's not all about challenges. It's about your social game. In fact, it's mostly about your social game in the end. And here's the thing. It is so much easier to base it on challenges because you don't personally attack somebody. So being out there, I can tell you very simply that I would simply just say, I'd rather vote somebody off based on their challengeability because it just feels less hurtful to that person. Like, you know what? You're an asshole. That's why I'm voting you off. Like, nobody wants to say that. There you go, Bloomberg. I got you back for burning me before. That's right. I might even drop an F-bomb on this one because
no.
Okay, I won't. But right, doesn't that feel like it's so much less offensive? And then just in case, especially down the line when you go into merge and now you got people on jury, the last thing you want to do is vote somebody out because, they know that you don't like them versus, you really screwed that up and, be a man and take it, you're out on this one, whatever. And then they can gracefully leave and say, all right, I really messed that up. But I think that that's why it's always brought up so much too, is because it's just so much easier.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing is, at this point, it's not all challenges, obviously. And yes, it is the social strategic game. But if you don't lose challenges,
you don't go to tribal.
Right.
Especially for the Kumbaya tribe, who had trouble picking one person to vote out. Just, going ahead and, having to do it again. I mean, that could break them all, kind of like it broke Jessica just now.
Tiffany is the greatest comic relief ever. I don't know what's happening. Her home is always full of surprises every time we chat with her, we bring her on, we do Instagram Live, whatever it is. There's always something fun happening. That was great.
Yeah. Now, in her interviews, Morriah said she didn't see herself as the weakest, but she also didn't see anybody else in her tribe as the weakest.
Well, and is she really going to be that person that's going to point fingers and go, but that she's just too kind. She's too sweet.
Well, she is, but the thing is, someone has to be the weakest. I mean, no matter what criteria you use, someone is the weakest. I didn't say that, Tiffany. You're pointing to yourself. But
you wanted to say it. So
I would never.
Here they come again.
But she was. Yep.
Tell him I said hi.
I will.
Yeah.
But
she was right in saying different challenges demand different skill sets. They have a couple smart people. They have a couple flexible people. They have a couple physically strong people. Right. And, she wondered, how do we even define what the heck strength is?
Yeah.
Well, she's right that it can be many things because we often discuss that here. But the real way we define strength is according to what the tribe thinks. And primarily for them thinking about their end goal, as the appendix says. To do that, they should want to, as I was just saying, lose fewer challenges while also having allies in case they do need to vote someone out. And as she said in her interviews, I think that everybody in my tribe made the decision that was best for them and for their game. That's what you do on Survivor. Make the moves that are going to get you farther in the game. And I think that's what everyone did, or at least what they thought they did.
Yeah. Again, being so kind.
Fair.
Yes.
And fair. See, in my mind, when we were losing like that, I was like, I'm in such a good social place that even if we get down to 2, I know I'm going to be okay. That in my head, I really felt like that. So like, I wasn't that scared because I felt like no matter what, Evie will not vote me out. She's going nowhere. She's got this one. She's got that one. Like I really, and we were going to be girl strong. And then when it came down to it, if it was going to be us 3, then I was like, I think I'm safe with Evie. But they didn't make it look like that on TV, but whatever. But at the end of the day, like if you have that social bond, even if you losing, you're safe by the time you get to merge.
Yes.
So like it's so important. To me, that was like solidify you're good so that if we do get taken out, because yellow tribes seem to be the weakest going in here too, right? Baca's yellow and right? It's Baca, yellow, right?
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
I have no idea if Baca is yellow.
Yes, Baca
Yes,
is
yes,
yellow.
yeah. Thank God. Thank you.
Okay.
So, and we were yellow. So, maybe it's just a yellow thing. It was yellow.
They need to
Okay.
switch the colors up.
Yeah, I know. It's like so annoying. But anyway, so I feel like even strength. Yeah. But depending on who you are, if you're that person in that perfect social spot, no matter what, you're safe kind of, and you're kind of riding it like smooth.
Yeah,
right?
For sure. Mm-hmm.
So it depends what your agenda is. And it's hard to say because we all view strength as physical strength. It's just the first thing that comes to mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Now,
my thoughts.
Yeah, I do think it helps that we discussed what happened with the first rule already, because there we recognize that once Morriah was made the target, she didn't have the ability or time to change that. It turns out the specific why is actually a little bit less important because we know the how. So even though we went over just now some of the comparisons of things we saw in challenges, we don't really need to look at how much each tribe member could bench press or who could swim the fastest or whatever, because like we said, it was the perception that she was the weakest, and once that was on her, she had no way of getting it off because there was no strategizing going on.
All bad combos.
I also think that once somebody thinks you're the weakest, that even if you strategize, it's very hard to get out of that. Once you have that label out there, who's going to be like, oh no, she's not, I'm going to campaign for her to stay. Like at that early on, it's just kind of like, all right, it's not me, bye.
Well, I mean, it depends. If you're in a solid alliance, I mean, you're a perfect example, actually. I'm sorry, and this is not really a dig at you, but you even said, but they were saying you were the weak one in challenges.
But it's not a dig at you, really. Even though you suck at challenges, it's not a dig.
The perception was stop throwing things at me. The perception was that she was not as good at challenges, and yet you stayed. Why did you stay?
Because I was good I was in a good spot.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying is you are the perfect example for why you can get past that, even if they say you're not as good at challenges, because you were better in the strategic game.
Okay, but
that may be the nicest thing I've ever said about you.
Okay, well, what do you want? You want me to now, like, thanks, Bloomberg.
He wants a cookie.
Thank you, Bloomberg. Would you like some Manischewitz?
Yeah, sure. Yes.
Okay, I'll pour your cup. Hold on. Let's see who's coming out of my basement next.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's the thing. It wasn't perceiving if I was the weakest. It was obvious that in that particular challenge.
I
was not weak, because I wasn't weak. I was sad.
You were unbalanced.
I was imbalanced. I was not having a good moment. But the truth was that was not where it was going for the whole time. It wasn't the weak. It was 100% going on Xander and Voce, because we were going girls strong. So it didn't matter in my case. So that doesn't really work, because I never had to get out of that.
That's what I'm saying is that's what I'm saying is the strategic game offset it. If she had
it wasn't the strategic for me. It was the girls' alliance, period.
Well, that's the strategic.
I didn't have to do anything. I was a girl.
Well, okay. Well, good job.
Thank you. Thank you, Bloomberg.
Good job on being a girl.
Thank you, Bloomberg.
But the thing is, Morriah had a girls' alliance, and it didn't go anywhere. So obviously, it is more than just being a girl.
But she wasn't even weak in the challenges where I was. So it's like it's not a fair.
I mean, she wasn't as weak, but like I said, there was that perception overall for her for whatever reason. Yeah. For whatever reason that we may or may not have seen. So.
Poor Morriah.
Yeah. All right. Well, it is about time to wrap things up for this. So we'll start with you, Tiffany. What are your final thoughts on Morriah?
Morriah I wore my sunglasses for you, Morriah, if you're watching, because you're such a bright ray of sunshine. And gone too soon, but not forgotten.
All right, Jessica.
Oh my gosh, Tiffany, thank you for joining us and discussing Morriah and everything else Tiffany related. We really do appreciate it. As for Morriah, we talked about her coming in, kicking you with color, punching you with joy. And I was really excited to see this develop. But I have a theory about her. And I'm curious because when we go back to her pregame press, she talked about the non-winner that she is most like was Marianne, right?
Oh, I totally see that. Yeah.
At the time, she did not know that Marianne had won. So we have a group of people who are coming into this game having watched Marianne play the game of Survivor. And however far along she had gotten by the time they went out there, maybe they're thinking to themselves, boy, Morriah kind of reminds me of someone. She kind of reminds me of this Marianne person who I was just watching play the game, who has this overabundance of life and joy and happiness, and you just want to like this person because you can't help but like this person. And that can be a very scary prospect on Survivor, because again, we've talked about, if it comes down to it, and if it's a likability factor, like who are you going to vote for? Someone that you like versus someone that you don't like. You're probably going to go with the person that you like. And so that can be a threat in and of itself. And so I do think that my initial concerns with her was, as Tiffany had commented, that is she going to be able to get past that? Are people going to look at her and think she's too much? Are people going to be like, whoa, time out? And I don't know if maybe that's what it was. If maybe she came in and she was a little too much, or maybe she came in and they were like, she's just too likable. And maybe she came in and they're like, hey, she's too likable, and we're just going to say that she's the worst one at the challenges, and that's going to be the easy out for us. There's so many possibilities here, but I really do think that there could have been a very good chance that she was going to go out first because of the way that she presents herself. But there also could have been a really good chance that she could have gone incredibly far, as we saw with Marianne. And so it all depends on the tribe makeup. It all depends on who you are with and the group that you find yourself with. And for her, she felt very comfortable with the group that she was with. She thought it was kumbaya, but unfortunately, she got too caught up in that and forgot about the game. Whereas I feel like with Marianne, she did both.
Yes.
She realized the group that she was with, but she also knew how to play the game at the same time. Whereas I think Morriah wanted to take it slow and let things happen naturally, as she probably does in her life when she just connects with people that are around her. And so unfortunately for us, we didn't get to see her punch people with color, kick them with joy as long as we would have liked. But we really do appreciate the chance that we did get to see her play this game. And if you haven't checked out her Instagram yet, you need to, because it really is by far one of the most beautiful Instagrams I've ever seen. Yeah. So just, do that in your spare time. So thank you, Morriah, for sharing yourself with all of us.
Yeah. In her final words, Morriah said she was happy with the game she played and had a ton of fun. She further told Mike Bloom that her goal was to play Survivor and play for her mother, and she found a sense of closure and felt like she was able to commemorate her and honor her. And all of that is incredibly touching, and I'm glad that she feels that way. But as we always discuss, what we cover here is winning and losing, not the emotional journey. Morriah came into the game with the declared intent of making friends. She thought those friends could carry her to the end and vote for her to win. But there's a reason for the reality TV trope of people saying, I'm not here to make friends. Because you're not. You're there to win the game. If you can make friends too, and you can get those friends to vote for you to win, great. But the friendship doesn't happen overnight. If your plan is to use friendship, you need to have a plan to get to the point where friendships can have some sway. And you also better hope that the people you're playing with value the friendships as much as you do. In Morriah's case, neither was true. They were all happy to be friends before they needed to go to tribal council. Several of them deluded themselves into thinking they didn't need to worry about it. But in the background, Ellie was working. Owen was trying to get things going. That gave them a leg up when it turned out the Baka tribe was not going to be the final six. Morriah obviously wasn't the only one being happy-go-lucky, but she was the one the spinner landed on when it came time to pick a target. Some may argue that there was no evidence she was the weakest, but as Ellie noted in tribal council, it shouldn't be pinned on one specific task, but they took a wider look. And the tribe overall decided that wider look pegged Morriah as the weakest overall. Once that happened, the strategic desert of Baca turned into a monsoon of activity. Morriah didn't even know rain was on the horizon, so she hadn't prepared, and she got caught in a flash flood. And that is why Morriah lost.
Look at you.
Can I just say that something I actually said during this podcast was in your final words?
Yes.
I have arrived.
You have.
You have. In your sunglasses?
I wear my sunglasses.
Yes.
I've arrived.
You have.
I think I have.
Welcome.
Thank you. I have now joined the ranks of the true Survivor podcasters.
Yes, absolutely.
I love it.
Yeah,
all right. Well, we still have predictions to do.
Ah.
And before we get to those, let me remind everyone that the rules we just discussed are available in poster form, which you can also see behind us, and t-shirt form and sweatshirt form, checklist, mugs, you name it. It's all there at robhasawebsite.com/YXLostFeed.
Now what?
Now predictions.
Oh.
So yes, I want to start with Cody because I had predicted an early exit for him in our preview. And as we discussed earlier, he surprised us with his smart thinking. But the preview shows him going into crazy mode that I was expecting. Still, using Hubicki's law, that almost certainly means he's safe.
Mm-hmm.
So if Vesey goes to tribal council, I think that Dwight would be an easy target without a vote in that tribe.
Based on
very little. I just think that, it's we talked about.
I'm going to jump in here because who was the one person that people were talking about? It was Justine, right? And I will say, I got to give Cody a little bit of credit. The guy who sells elevators is like, you can't trust salespeople. And made everybody kind of suspicious of Justine, while also throwing her under the bus because, she might be formulating a girls' alliance thing and you can't trust. So there's a lot of these little ripple things. I don't think it would be Dwight. I think it would be Justine before Dwight.
Okay.
Ooh. Are you looking at me?
I'm looking at you. You can't see because of the sunglasses.
I can see. You just can't see me. It's like I'm not even here.
That's right.
Right. Oh. I don't know if it's Dwight or Justine. I would say the two of those are the two that I would say too. I'm going to err on the Dwight only for the reason that he has no vote.
Yes. Yes, and you're muted, by the way.
And you're muted, but I was able to read your lips.
Okay, that's fair.
Yes.
That's the only reason that I'm not.
And that's why I went with it too.
Because honestly, if not, I would say Cody because I feel like he's going to get on people's nerves like hell.
I would say Cody if he wasn't featured in the commercial.
Right, and unless they're pulling the old, it's Cody, and we're going to make it obvious. I don't know.
I just
stranger things have happened. I survived.
Yes, exactly. Now, if Baca should go to tribal council again, based on what we saw this week, I think Janine is in trouble. I think they'll just say, "Oh, look, next weakest, line them up."
Yeah, and this is where Janine really kind of screwed up a little bit, right? Because if you're going to support the weakest person vote out methodology, you have to find out where you fall in that potential weakest line of your tribe. And she would be the next in line if you're just going to go on brute strength. So that does definitely put her in a bad spot. And I thought it was interesting that, Ellie and Janine really, they had an opportunity to be in control if they were able to. Because Sammy seemed to be on board with the whole Morriah thing. Not that they should have voted out Owen. I'm not saying that. But it really does shift the dynamics of who's now going to be in control and calling the shots as to who's going to get voted out. Whereas if they had kept Morriah, Janine's not going to have to worry about anything. Like we've heard Tiffany talking about, when you know where you fall, those things don't end up mattering. But now it's going to matter. And so I do think that Janine is in a tough spot, because we also know that Gabler has an idol that he can certainly use next time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that watching it. When I was watching it, I'm like, ooh, if I'm Janine, what am I doing? Yeah. And my thought was, ooh, if I'm Janine,
I don't think she had a choice. I think
I don't think she. Yeah,
I think
we
the die was
didn't
cast, and everybody else was voting that way.
Yeah, and of course you vote with majority, but I think I agree with you. It did cross my mind watching it. I was like, oh, I don't know, in that spot what I would do. I just feel like, you have the numbers. If it's your girl's wrong, it's like you're good.
Right. Now, as for Coco, everybody else except for Gio had an alliance that we saw on the show. Gio has an alliance with Ryan that we saw in a secret scene. But if I'm looking at it, there's the stuff we saw on the show, and there's the one thing we saw in the secret scene. And we also saw Gio getting called out by Jeff in the first challenge.
He loves to remind people when they are bad at challenges.
Yes.
Right, Tiffany?
Yeah.
Oh, give me a break.
Hey, I didn't say it. I just
he did it to me too.
Okay. But guess what?
I was literally drowning. I'd sand up my nose. I was drowning.
I felt for you.
Thank you.
And your eye infection too. That killed me because I have eye.
Right?
Oh, that was horrible.
God,
but
terrible.
you're a badass for like being able to even be there after that.
Thanks.
But let me just continue. Could we take the S off the word challenge when you're mentioning my name? Because for some reason, it's making me look like I was bad at challenges. I was bad at one particular part of the challenge.
Listen,
I was kick ass in the rest.
And listen, I completely support this because I had the same thing happen to me. There was one challenge. I was dying. I just was like, my body couldn't function. Everything else.
Kick ass.
Yeah.
But why does it have to be all about that stupid ass beam? I was kick ass in the other ones.
I know.
Jeff doesn't help because he really does spotlight.
I mean, I mean, it's like, he was yelling at Gio because he couldn't get a crate. He was yelling at Janine. He was literally yelling, dig, woman, when she was trying to dig.
You know how hard that
now
is.
You're being literal. Now you're being literal, Jeff.
Yeah. He did that to us too. Some of the stuff didn't air.
Yeah. Now, so I think if it's Coco, that Gio goes. With all that in mind, I'm going to go back to my first pick. I think Dwight is going to be voted out next episode.
You really think so?
Are you from London?
Yeah, I know. I know. I was like, what was that?
Sorry. That just, my daughter and I do this sometimes.
I do it too. I do it for hours. My kids get crazy.
Oh my gosh. But the kids and I, it's great. It's so much fun. We just start
really
speaking with an accent.
Them.
Yeah, I love it. It's great.
You really think so? Oh, I do, actually. I was just thinking that. I think I'm going to have myself a drink. You really think so? I do.
All right.
All right. You like that? I got that, though, right?
I thought I was hearing things. So
I heard it, and then I looked at Bloomberg's face.
Yeah.
He was like,
it was my momentary lapse. I do it every once in a while at work, and people are like, and then I'm like, I probably shouldn't do that at work. So.
Sorry. That's my alternate personality.
Yes. Well, do I really think so? I don't know. We don't have much to go on. So
I know, but I do feel okay. So he doesn't have a vote, and that makes sense. Like that, certainly, he's not bringing much to the table. So I get that part of it. Does that? And everyone knows that he doesn't have a vote because he shared.
Right.
So that's a bit of a problem. I'm just trying to remember who he ended up connecting with because I was surprised because NECA, Jesse, and was it Dwight or was it who was this? Like this, there was three.
NECA, Jesse, and I know they were like standing.
I thought it was Cody. I think it's Cody.
Maybe I don't know. I have to look.
Remember.
I don't remember.
But there was definitely like so. I have to go back and try to remember who because I feel like.
It wasn't Cassidy? No,
it was definitely two of the guys and NECA.
No, not Cassidy, Justine, I was thinking.
Yeah.
It was two of the guys. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was, and I feel like it was Cody and Jesse and NECA that they ended up coming together. And
I remember that. Yep.
Yep. You and I and everything. So I don't know. I mean, I feel like Cody is doing a great job of throwing Justine under the bus, like straight out of the gate.
Could be Justine. You're right. I would go. Okay, so I'm going to be the split decision here.
Okay.
Let's go with. I'm my final vote. Final
answer.
Final answer. I'm going to go with Justine.
Oh, wait a minute. You said Dwight.
No, I know, but that's
her final answer. She changed.
Here's okay. Based on everything you said, I agree with you that because he doesn't have a vote, that would make sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
But if I was looking at it by editing alone, Justine is a very viable option.
Yeah.
And I would have to say that it might be a girl in this spot.
Yeah.
Okay. But not because I'm going to be equally as not surprised if it's Dwight, but wouldn't it be
official position?
My official position is Justine.
Okay.
Only because I think the boys are going to be
chicken dinner.
Yeah. What do we get if I win? Do I get a sweatshirt?
You get
a poster.
You get Mogan David.
Nice. Thank you. So good. Here's the thing. We may all be wrong here. And then
probably.
Listen, I'm always wrong with these predictions.
We may all be wrong, and then it's just all over for us.
Yeah, that's it.
And it's Cody, and he goes home.
Yeah, it could be. It would break Hubicki's law, but it occasionally happens. So.
Can I just hear you say, Jessica, Cody's last name in your English accent?
I don't know if I can.
Oh, sure you can.
I don't
Cody
know what that
Austenmacher.
Excuse me. Oh no, that was German. Austenmacher. Cody Austenmacher.
I did not do that much.
It's Cody Austenmacher. Okay, let's try the English version now.
I don't think I can. Now with too much pressure, I can't do it.
No, you can do it.
You do it. Come on. How do you do it?
For $1 million, do it.
No, I seriously, it's like I'm like total blank because his last name is like it's like an Assen maker. I mean, it's just like I don't know how to I have a really hard time kind of wrapping my brain around changing that name.
It's so fun to watch. Bloomberg, would you like to do it?
No, what I would like to say
his name, Cody Austenmacher.
No, I would like to say that as we wrap up. As we wrap up,
God. Oh, we've become unhinged.
Yeah, become.
We are.
Hold on, I have to take off.
Taking clothes off now too.
Yeah.
I'm about to take off in my pilot. I feel like a fire pilot. Do I look like one?
You look badass. I will say it's definitely it's working.
I'm doing this from now on.
All right, Jeff Probst, I hope you're watching.
Oh God, do you think he
Like
watches
a badass?
Oh, I know he does. He watches. He takes notes. He says, "Ooh, I'm going to do this because it'll piss off David and Jessica."
You think so?
No, hell no.
I was. Jeff, if you're watching, you're just the best ever.
Oh well, did you see what I have, Tiffany?
What do you have, Jessica? Look. Oh, it's a candle. Is he naked?
Look.
Oh, look at here. It's Jeff in his underwear. He's in his skivvies. Jeff is wearing his skivvies.
It's Saint Jeff.
Oh, Saint Jeff. Saint Jeff. Listen, all we need to know is that Cody has living on his Austenmacher. Poor Cody, we're just killing him, but he's probably loving it.
Yeah,
I know. And listen, he's a character, and I appreciate him as a character. And you put me on the spot, and I didn't know what to do.
And so you said it's Cody Austenmacher. It's so fun. Can you say Mike Gabler's name in an English accent?
Oh my God, no! I'm not
What?
good at an English
All
accent.
right. We're gonna have to move on here. We're gonna
All
have
right.
to wrap this up before we run out of space on YouTube here.
We're
So
at
I
2
want to
hours
encourage,
now.
I want to encourage anyone who's still listening. I guess if you're still listening to this, then you're enjoying it.
You
So
really support us,
you
and we
know,
appreciate you greatly.
And
God bless you.
yes, and as part of that support, we want to encourage people to check out the RJP Patron program at robhasawebsite.com/patron. You can get access to all the different patron podcasts. Rob has changed. There's the Survivor Academy, Patron 5 for 5. Some of the more of the podcasts he's doing, like his podcast with Zach, his podcast with Chappelle. He did them with patrons live, and then everyone else could hear it recorded. But if you're a patron, well, you could submit questions. You could hear it right away. And when Rob isn't talking to everyone directly, there are the Facebook groups, the Discord, with a great community of people, including me and Jessica. And of course, there's first dibs to live shows, which there's going to be one in Washington, D.C. So you can support shows like ours and everything in the network by becoming a patron at robhasawebsite.com/patron, or click on the link at robhasawebsite.com/yxlostfeed.
And can I talk about Twitter now?
Oh, absolutely. You can always talk about Twitter.
Okay, excellent. So you should also follow myself and David Bloomberg and Tiffany on Twitter. I'm at Jessica Lewis 89. He is at David Bloomberg. And currently this is Tiffany with no voce. So Tiffany, what is your handle on Twitter?
I have no idea. I'm presuming it's at Tiffany Seely.
So
I'm going to tell you right now because, I don't often look at myself. Oh, yes, at Tiffany Seely, please.
Okay.
Perfect. At Tiffany Seely. So you should definitely follow us all. We do live tweet during the episodes. We also tweet throughout the week. Lots of fun conversations happening on Twitter. So I'm at Jessica Lewis 89, at David Bloomberg, and at Tiffany Seely. And also as David has already mentioned regarding TikTok, you need to check him out on TikTok. He's at David_Bloomberg. And I'm sure there will be some TikToks regarding this entourage here.
Good Lord,
and the loveliness that it has become.
It could be.
Please do one of me looking like Top Gun. Thanks.
Okay.
Great.
Also, remember that I copy over the TikToks to Instagram on a one-day delay I'm david.e.bloomberg there. Jessica is Jessica Lewis 6789. Tiffany, I have no idea. She's Tiffany Seely.
You're upsetting me today.
Why?
This is just Tiffany_Seely.
There you go.
Verified.
You're supposed to know your own. Yeah.
Blue check and then some red thing with 3 white dots. I don't know what that is, but it's there.
Cool.
Whatever.
It means watch. It means beware. That's the number of strikes you have.
And I would really like to get to 10,000 people. So
wow.
What are you at right now?
8,655.
Wow.
On Instagram, too.
Okay.
You should see me on TikTok. I'm killing it.
TikTok.
I don't even make them, and I have almost 1,800.
What's your TikTok?
Oh, you didn't know I have TikTok?
No.
Yeah,
yes, I do.
She was making them during her season.
Yeah, I was. I made one that really did. I'm at Tiffany Seely on TikTok.
Okay. I'm sure I've seen them.
Oh, it's so terrible. It's hysterical.
Yeah.
I am awful.
Well, I love it. I'll definitely check it out.
I'm gonna up my A game there. Okay,
all right.
I'm sorry.
All right,
everyone should make sure you're subscribed to all of the RHAP Survivor podcasts by going to our YX Lost feed. Or robhasawebsite.com/subscribe. You'll find great content like, of course, the Know-It-Alls, Terran Stockwatch, Shannon Gus's Survivor International, the B&B, and much more. As it is the start of many new reality TV seasons, in order to make sure you're subscribed to Rob Has a Podcast, from now until the end of September, for every new follower, for every new subscriber of RHAP, Rob will donate $2 to the Boys and Girls Club. Subscribing is free, and you will be supporting a great cause. Rob and Nicole selected the Boys and Girls Club, whose goal is to provide safe spaces, life-enhancing programs, and mentorship to help support and empower all kids to live up to their full potential. If you're already subscribed, recommend it to a friend. Borrow your grandpa's iPad. Whatever. Listeners can visit robhasawebsite.com/subscribe to subscribe to the main feed, plus the Survivor feed, plus individual feeds.
And I would like to do thank yous, if I may. So thank you, Scott St. Pierre, for all of the incredible editing that you do, not only for Why Blank Lost, but all of the RHAP content. So thank you for all of the work that you do. We truly appreciate it. Thank you to Will from America for the theme song that you've created for David and I. It's lovely, catchy. It's a wonderful tune. So thank you for that. And thank you the most to Tiffany with no Voce. But we miss Voce. We would have loved to have had him here with us, but this probably would have been a 4-hour podcast.
Well, yeah, we're starting to get texts from him, so he clearly just landed.
So here it comes. So thank you so much, Tiffany, for joining David and I. We truly appreciate it. And David, thank you for allowing Tiffany and I an opportunity to bond again. We really do appreciate it.
It was 2 against 1.
We really love it.
Yes. Well,
can I also say one thing before you say your
absolutely.
Thank yous? Under my Instagram, Give Kids the World. It's linked there. If everybody could just, even if it's $1, I'd like to get these kids some money, and let's get them, to meet their people, which is, CBS reality people.
Yeah.
So it's really a great cause, and I'll be out there. And if you want to donate, any amount would be appreciated.
All right.
And thank you.
Okay, well, thank you, Tiffany. Like Jessica, like you said, if we had Voce, it probably would have gone like 3-4 hours. So, or he would have been like, Tiffany, stop.
No, that would have made her go more.
Well, probably. So
I was so good today.
You were sometimes.
Mostly.
And rule 3 or rule 2, whatever it was, you were definitely really good. And so
thank you, David.
Yeah.
No.
God.
No. So, all right. Thank you, Jessica, of course, always. And we will be back. I will be back in a few days with Ovi Kabir to discuss the winner, second place finisher, and third place finisher of Big Brother. And then Jessica and I will be back in a week. We will see you then. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.